Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm 30 years old. I've been reflecting on a difficult time in my life involving my husband, Tyler, and his family. After months of turmoil, I finally feel like I'm beginning to move past it, but the emotional scars are still there. Writing this out might be the first step toward healing, and I think sharing my story could help me make sense of it all. Let's rewind to 3 years ago. When I made a significant life decision, I married Tyler, my boyfriend of 3 years. We had met through mutual friends, and from the start, we clicked. Tyler was charming, fun, and loving. He came from a wealthy family and had a successful career, which meant he could afford to spoil me with gifts and attention. Our relationship was built on shared passions, particularly our love for travel. As we transitioned from casual dating to something more serious, my friends couldn't stop talking about how lucky I was. Tyler's generosity often felt overwhelming. One of the most memorable gifts he gave me was a brand new laptop when I graduated college. Despite his kindness, I couldn't shake the discomfort I felt about the financial imbalance in our relationship. "Tyler, I'm just a college student," I would say. "I can't keep up with your spending. Can we at least split some of the other expenses?" Tyler would dismiss my concerns with a smile, telling me that it was common among his friends to lavish their partners with gifts, and that he just wanted to take care of me. As time went on, I started to accept his gestures, but I still wanted to contribute. When I landed a well-paying job after graduation, I was eager to give back. We began splitting bills more fairly, and Tyler suggested we move in together. "You can stay with me," he said one day. "I inherited this house from my grandpa, so we don't need to worry about rent, but we should still divide the other costs." Even though I had some doubts, Tyler reassured me that his offer was a genuine act of care, and so, I agreed. For a while, everything seemed to be working, until I finally met Tyler's family, who lived far away. Tyler had work commitments, so I was left alone to host his parents and sister. He'd warned me beforehand that his family could be critical, but he didn't go into specifics, just advised me to ignore any hurtful comments and get through the visit as best as I could. I tried to stay optimistic, but my expectations were quickly shattered when Tyler's family arrived. They didn't greet me with the warmth I had anticipated. Instead, they arrived already irritated, creating a tense atmosphere from the moment they stepped through the door. As the evening progressed, it became clear that they had preconceived notions about me. "So, you're the one Tyler has been seeing?" Martha, Tyler's mother, asked, her tone skeptical. "I didn't expect to find you living here. Do you even pay rent?" "No, I don't pay rent," I responded calmly. "Tyler told me the house is paid off, but we share all the other expenses equally." Martha wasn't satisfied with my explanation. "Just because the house is paid off doesn't mean you get to freeload off him. This is his house, not yours, don't forget that." The conversation grew increasingly uncomfortable, especially with Tyler's sister, Teresa, who barely acknowledged me. When I tried to engage her by asking about her life, she shot back with irritation, mentioning her marriage to a wealthy billionaire. Despite my best efforts to connect, she shut me out completely. Throughout the visit, Tyler remained silent, often aligning with his family's disapproval. Gabriel and Martha's comments about my spending habits, especially my purchases of makeup and skincare products, stung. They seemed to think I was being irresponsible, considering what they believed was my lack of financial contribution. Tyler didn't help matters. He casually mentioned to his family that I had been a struggling student when we met, implying that I had depended on him for financial support. While that wasn't exactly true, Tyler often painted the picture that I was someone who couldn't manage without him. He would joke about how he had covered all of my expenses early in our relationship because I couldn't afford the luxuries I liked. I was taken aback. I reminded him that we had long since adjusted our financial arrangement to split bills evenly. I explained that I had lived frugally, even before we met, and that the luxury items I owned were gifts from him, gifts I had often warned him against due to their extravagance. Tyler, however, justified his lavish gifts by saying they were a way to show off his status among his friends, not because he genuinely wanted to spoil me. After they left, I was left feeling bitter and hurt. I tried to confront Tyler about the way his family treated me, but he brushed it off, downplaying the situation as though it wasn't a big deal. I began to second-guess myself. "Jessica, don't overthink this. They didn't mean any harm. You're just taking it too seriously. Relax," Tyler said, brushing off my concerns. Despite my lingering doubts, 5 months later, Tyler proposed. In a moment of joy, I said yes. We began planning our engagement party and decided to split the costs evenly. At the time, I was running a small business on the side. Tyler was aware of it, but he never asked much about how much it earned. To me, it was more of a fulfilling hobby than anything that would bring in substantial money. When it came to planning our engagement party, I thought it was a good opportunity to treat myself. Tyler supported this, and we shared the costs equally, including the expense of plane tickets for my extended family to attend. However, the moment the party began, the old criticisms resurfaced. "You shouldn't have spent so much on this party, Jessica. You're draining Tyler's bank account before you're even married. At this rate, you'll end up with a backyard wedding. I thought you were financially irresponsible, but it's worse than I imagined," Martha criticized. I stood my ground, my voice firm. The party was extravagant, but we agreed on it together. I paid my share, and Tyler was the one who insisted on inviting everyone. He didn't mind the expense. But the criticisms didn't stop there. Martha accused me of manipulating Tyler into overspending, and Teresa added, "I know what kind of person you are, Jessica. You should have been more considerate." Frustrated, I excused myself and stepped outside to the venue's lawn for a moment of peace. As I stood there, I overheard Teresa and her husband, Justin, laughing about the situation, at my expense. It felt like my engagement party was falling apart, and Tyler seemed oblivious to how his family was treating me. Most of his extended family assumed I was unemployed, painting me as a dependent fiancé. Sensing my distress, my mom, always protective, pulled me aside. She reminded me of the importance of being independent and advised me to reconsider the engagement, especially given the ongoing criticisms from Tyler's family. After the party, I confronted Tyler about everything. He dismissed it as a joke, insisting that financial matters didn't concern him. I tried to explain that I wanted to contribute more, especially toward expenses like rent, but he brushed off the suggestion. Wedding planning only made things worse. Tyler's parents continued to criticize my decisions, accusing me of financially draining their son. The constant scrutiny was taking a toll, and I made it clear that everyone, including my mom, was contributing to the wedding costs. But Martha didn't hesitate to accuse me of taking advantage of Tyler, suggesting we were plotting to drain his bank account. Amid all the accusations, my in-laws began calling me a gold digger. I tried to address Gabriel's concerns calmly. "Gabriel, I'm not asking for financial help. I just want you to understand that we're fully capable of paying for the wedding ourselves." Despite my efforts to explain, Teresa still critiqued the cost of my dress and makeup, even though I had clarified that my mother was covering those expenses. The wedding ceremony itself went smoothly, but at the reception, Martha and Gabriel continued their attacks. They accused me of exploiting Tyler's wealth, but I chose not to respond, hoping to avoid any conflict on our special day. A few months later, Tyler celebrated a big promotion at work, and he wanted to mark the occasion with a family dinner. I was excited for him and decided to take the opportunity to make the event special by covering all the costs myself. "Tyler, I want this dinner to be extraordinary. I'm so proud of you, and I want to celebrate your success," I said, eager to make the evening memorable. Tyler appreciated the gesture, and I shared that my business was doing well. I had a steady income from my job and had recently accessed a trust fund from my paternal grandfather. I carefully planned the entire event, ensuring everything was perfect for the celebration. But when his family arrived, their disapproval was evident. Although other guests had positive feedback, it became clear that his family wasn't impressed by the lavish nature of the dinner. During the speeches, Martha stood up and addressed the room. "I want to thank everyone for gathering to celebrate my son. He's hardworking, generous, and truly deserving of this promotion. Unfortunately, it seems his good fortune didn't extend to his choice of partner. It's unfortunate that, of all people, he found himself tied to what some might call a gold digger. I only wish he had seen the true nature of his wife before it was too late. Then he wouldn't have to work so hard to support her lavish lifestyle," she said, her voice laced with disappointment. Her words stung deeply, but I held my composure. Martha continued, "At least we had Jessica sign a prenuptial agreement before the wedding. At least some of his assets are protected." She sighed, almost relieved, and commented that Tyler had married someone who could at least maintain the image of a trophy wife. Tyler added to the conversation, "I can't even afford to spend money on myself anymore. There's nothing left," he lamented, furthering the narrative that marrying me was a mistake. Shocked and hurt by this public display, I finally spoke up. "Do you really think I'm a gold digger? Tyler's response was cold. Your lifestyle is draining my bank account. Determined to set the record straight, I responded, if I'm such a gold digger, let me show you my bank balance. Maybe that will clear things up. I pulled out my phone, revealing my financial independence to everyone in the room. The room fell silent, disbelief hanging in the air. In the midst of the tense atmosphere, Martha couldn't help but ask, did you steal my son's money? Tyler followed up with suspicion in his voice. She must have taken it from you. Calmly, I answered, I don't need to steal money from your son. This is all from my hard work. Besides, I've recently accessed a trust fund left by my grandfather. I had initially planned to use the money from my trust fund to buy a bigger house as a surprise for Tyler, but given the current state of our relationship, that now seemed highly unlikely. Despite my clear stance on the matter, Tyler, seemingly oblivious to the tension between us, suggested, we can still buy the house. It'll be a great gift. However, I was firm in my refusal. No, this is not happening. Your family has insulted me for far too long, and you've never once stood up for me. Instead, you've allowed these misconceptions about me to spread, about how I'm supposedly using your money. I told him, frustration rising in my voice. Tyler tried to downplay the situation, suggesting I was overreacting, but I wasn't backing down. No, I'm not overreacting. Everyone here knows exactly what you and your family have been calling me. They were there when you let them insult me at our engagement party. I could feel the weight of all the disrespect and humiliation I'd endured over the years, and it was finally too much. I reached my breaking point. I could no longer tolerate the toxic environment. I want a divorce, I said firmly, the words heavy in the air. Tyler immediately tried to plead with me, but my mom, who had been observing quietly, stepped in and told him to stop. You've never defended my daughter, not once, all these years. It's time she ends this toxic relationship for good, she said, her voice unwavering. With that, we left the party, leaving behind a stunned crowd of guests who whispered amongst themselves. Although the confrontation had been dramatic, especially in front of Tyler's extended family, friends, and colleagues, I no longer cared. I had made my decision. I was done with him, and I was ready to move on. My mom's unwavering support gave me the strength to walk away. Once we were home, I immediately started gathering my belongings. Tyler kept calling, but I silenced my phone and went to stay at my mother's house to find some peace. The next day, I contacted my cousin, who was a lawyer, to begin the divorce proceedings. Since we had a prenuptial agreement in place, the process was expected to be straightforward, sparing me the need to share any of my financial assets with Tyler. Things quickly escalated when Tyler and his family showed up at my mother's doorstep, demanding to speak with me. My mom, standing her ground, told them to leave immediately. Meanwhile, Tyler's messages flooded my phone, ranging from tearful apologies to alarming threats. I made sure to save every message, preparing to file a restraining order if needed. Throughout this emotional turmoil, my mom remained my pillar of strength. Tyler even attempted to confront me at my office, but I had already informed security, who quickly escorted him out. In the midst of all of this, I made the decision to leave my well-paying job. My business was thriving, and I no longer needed the position. My priorities had shifted from accumulating wealth to seeking peace and dignity. I handed in my resignation that same day and began to focus on creating a better life for myself. A week later, I had the divorce papers served to Tyler at his workplace. When he showed up at my old office, he was met with the news that I had already resigned. My former colleagues reported that Tyler had been sending flowers and gifts to my mother's house, all of which we returned. The harassment continued, and I decided it was time to relocate. With my mom's encouragement, I found the perfect home in another state, a place where I could start fresh, far away from the negativity and drama. Now, as I await the finalization of the divorce, the judge has been facilitating a smooth process thanks to our solid prenuptial agreement. During the 5 months of our separation, I took the time to heal and prepare for a new chapter in my life, one that was free of turmoil and filled with renewed hope. I quickly settled into my new home and made the important decision to change my phone number to put an end to the relentless messages from Tyler and his family. I heard from mutual acquaintances that Tyler's life was falling apart. He blamed his parents for the dissolution of our marriage, and professionally, he faced major setbacks. His colleagues began distancing themselves from him, and his reputation suffered due to the negative publicity in their close-knit community. On top of that, his parents spread rumors about infidelity, But fortunately, these baseless accusations never gained any traction. While Tyler seemed to be spiraling, my life began to flourish. I poured my energy into growing my business, enjoying my newfound freedom, and exploring new opportunities. I even began to date again. Although Tyler's past insecurities made me cautious about committing too quickly, still, I remained hopeful that, in time, I would heal and find someone who truly values and cherishes me. Although Tyler caused me immense pain, overcoming the challenges he presented has made me stronger. It has propelled me into a brighter future, filled with possibilities, self-discovery, and hope. I look forward to what lies ahead, knowing that I am resilient and now more certain about what I want from life and relationships.